This is episode 59 of Sports Talk on Our Time. My name's Frank Verdecchia. I'm here with my partner, retired Pittsburgh Trib sports writer, the legendary Jerry DiPaola. And Jerry, you and I are here celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the show with guys that I couldn't imagine celebrating with anybody else right now. We got a serious lineup here. We've got former Trib guys here. We've got a guy who
present Trib guys.
Impressive. I mean, the first guy I want to talk about, this guy could leave a voicemail as eloquently as he could write a lead, and that would be Robert Montgomery Cohn. He used to sit next to me in the office, and I'd listen to him leave a voicemail, and I'd be like, damn, I don't even talk that well in public. And like, Jesus. And
I hate voicemail, so
well, then after that, we got a guy who actually almost did the move one time. I know he practiced it, so that would be Rob Gregory here, a legendary Trib desk man.
Thank you.
And we next to him, we have the guy who threw a remote control at me one time, and we used to, we've come a long way over the last 30 years. The great Kevin Gorman, who has more blue shirts than anybody you could ever talk to. We got the only sports writer who showed up at the NFL draft to put up a snack drawer backstage, and only to have Caleb Downs ask him when the Cracker Jack was coming back, and that is Joe Rudder. And we have Pittsburgh Trib, former assistant sports editor, a man who ate off the cleanest desk in the sports department, now the managing editor of Trib Live, Rob Amon. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on board today.
Thanks for having us.
Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Jerry, what was on your mind here?
Well, a couple things real quick. Personal things. You guys will probably laugh at me, but I'm going to say them anyway.
No, we're definitely going to laugh at you, Jerry.
No, I know.
There ain't doubt about that.
No matter what
I want to make a shout out to my good friend Randy Ross in Houston, who's probably seen every one of our podcasts. This is 59. He's seen 59 of them. And Randy and I coach Little League Baseball together in Cranberry. He's a good guy, and he's recovering nicely after a medical procedure down in Houston. I just want to shout out to him. And number two, shout out to the Seneca Valley 8 and under black championship team that won the Cranberry tournament over the weekend with my grandson at second base and Sid Bream's grandson at first base. Sid Bream, you guys remember Sid Bream?
Wow.
They
All right.
formed a formidable right side of the infield, Aiden Bream and Graham Eisenhuth, and it was quite a weekend for us, and just wanted to do that. And we want everybody all the 7 guys, and Chris Adamski will join us later. Everybody to give us, a hot take. It has to do with some kind of opinion on sports, some kind of prediction or projection, whatever you want. And I'm sure I'll get laughed at, but everybody else will probably have good ones, and I'll laugh at you anyway.
Jerry, did Sid Bream's grandkid, did he score the winning? Did he slide into home plate?
No, my grandson
Frank
scored the winning run from second base.
Frank.
That's what
Frank, too
that's
soon.
what I asked on Facebook, whether he had slid in and broken the hearts of the opposing team by scoring the
Center fielder was out.
He wasn't involved in the rally. It was a walk-off win. We were down 4-1 in the 6th inning.
But still too soon.
Still hurt.
Kids played well, and Sid was there.
Yeah, too soon.
I got to question that left fielder's arm, just like Bonds, man. Jesus, you got to make that throw. But go ahead, Jerry. What were you? We're going around the horn here.
Okay, I have a hot take, and maybe it's not that hot, and I'm sure Kevin will probably disagree with me because he knows way more about the Pirates than I do. But I just feel that if the Pirates aren't going to make the playoffs this year, and that's not my hot take, but I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think they're going to regress in 2027, if there's a season in 2027, depending on the labor strife. But they got to re-sign Brandon Lau, and their defense is shaky, their bullpen is shaky. Of course, next year is a long way off, but I just feel that Nottingham's going to see them not make the playoffs after spending so much money that they spend on them this year. And he's going to say, why did I spend all that money to go 81-81 and not make the playoffs? So I think they're going to regress, especially losing Lau, who's right now on pace to hit 38 home runs. And how much is that going to cost them to keep him next year? So I just think next year is not going to be pretty for the Buccos.
Question? May I?
Yes, Bob.
Thank you, Jerry. You really think that might happen, or isn't there anybody in that organization who might say, Mr. Nutting, I know things didn't maybe not turn out like you like, but this is a work in progress, and we've already invested in it, and we really have a chance to do something. Is there anybody there who actually knows what they're doing?
Well, let Kevin answer that question. He knows more than I do.
Okay, yeah,
Is there anybody
Kevin,
with the Pirates-
and anybody else?
Are you saying, is there anybody with the Pirates who knows what they're doing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
No, but I was just responding to what Jerry said, that kind of a doomsday scenario. Even if they don't get in
Pirates
this year,
bluster about this being a playoff full period up. I never saw this as a Pirates making one run at the playoffs and then being done. I never viewed it that way. I viewed it as they made some moves to make themselves having a better chance to be a contender. It is their drafting and their development through the minor leagues that is going to help them have sustained success. It's not going to be the free agent signings. Those guys came in and gave this team a sense of credibility, and in particular with Brandon Lau and Ryan O'Hearn, guys who had been in the playoffs and have that postseason experience and have played on winning teams in tough divisions. I think that has paid off for them. Marcell Ozuna has been the bust so far, although he's having a good month in a very much a platoon role. But I feel like I feel like this team is set up for the future more so than it is for being a playoff team this year. That's just my personal opinion. I didn't predict them to make the playoffs. I predict them to win 84 games. I think they have a shot at making the playoffs. I think that they kept their head above water through the first 81 games of the season and came out 41-40, despite having Ryan O'Hearn lost to the injured list for 2 weeks, Connor Griffin and O'Neal Cruz at the same time. This is a team that hasn't fallen apart at a time maybe we thought they would have. And I think that's a positive sign that they're going to get Griffin back soon. Cruz probably around the All-Star break. And I expect the pitching, which has been good over the last week, to get even better.
So Kevin just took my hot take because I disagree with you, Jerry. I think they are going to make the playoffs. They're only 2.5 games out right now. To what Kevin said, I mean, O'Neal Cruz is coming back. Connor Griffin's coming back. The fact that they're even where they are at a game over 500 with those guys out of the lineup is astounding. And, I actually do think that they have a really good shot. So I'm going to say they are going to make the playoffs. I think they will shore up. They'll make some sort of move soon, I would assume. Kevin, back me up on this. But, to shore up the bullpen, I think they'll do something. I think they can't do nothing.
They'll do something. I don't know if it'll be soon. Although the Mets did just trade David Peterson. So there are guys that are going to be available, but I don't know. The trade deadline isn't until August 3rd. I don't expect the movement to come right now.
So in about a month or so, yeah. I mean, I feel like they will make the playoffs. The two of the teams ahead of them are in the same division. They're going to see them multiple times coming up. There's a good chance of gaining ground on them, and I think they're going to do it.
I think they have a chance. It's just a question of, like Kevin said, they're set up for success in the future. I just wonder what the future is going to look like in the sport and whether there is going to be a season like Jerry mentioned. I just don't know, with the proposal of the salary cap, and if they dig in on that, which they have never shown a capability of doing that before, there is the possibility of losing next season. So who knows what this Pirates looks like coming out of that.
Well, not only do they have to win to make the playoffs, they have to win at a greater rate than they're winning right now, but they got to pass 5 teams to get a wild card. They got to get the Cubs right now are the last wild card team, and there's 4 teams between the Pirates and the Cubs. So
they're only 2.5 out though, too, Jerry. I mean, after they won today, so they were 3 before they won today, so they're only 2.5 games out, and you can't give up on that. That's for sure. And
Jerry, I need you to do a shot now because you're just a Debbie Downer all the time about these Pirates. I swear to God. Rob's right.
I'll be glad to do a shot right now.
This is a resilient team right now because they have maybe 1.5 good starters right now. I mean, you got a bunch of starters that have their ERA over 4. We don't need to talk about the bullpen, and the lineup. The lineup's been hitting the ball. What's that?
He hits a ton.
The bullpen is 4 innings a night, right?
What?
The bullpen is 4 innings a night. They got to get through 4 innings with their crummy relief pitchers.
Well, that's their job, Jerry. That is modern baseball. If you haven't noticed, maybe you haven't noticed,
and they're not doing it very well.
But they have to improve. You know,
They have to improve.
the problem with the Pirates is, and this has been their problem for like the last 15 years, they just can't put it all together. What I hate about this team right now is Brian Reynolds is hitting the cover off the ball, and there's nothing behind him on the pitching staff to help him out, and it's a crime. It's a crime. You want to hear my hot take? If there's a season next year, Pirates win it all.
What by all? What do you mean? World Series?
World Series.
What do you think winning it all means, Jerry?
World Series.
Yes, they win the World Series.
The Pirates are going to win the
2027.
World Series
World
in 2027. Okay, all right.
Well, my hot take is I want to.
I'm already like halfway through this bottle though, so
Yeah, I can tell.
Well, I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see next
Pass
season.
out.
I want to see next season go like the NHL did in 2004, and I think that would help the Pirates. I read a story where they want to cap the contracts to 5 to 6 years. I don't know, Gorm, if that's any legitimacy.
is that plausible?
I saw a story on that, and go a year without it. I know I sound crazy, maybe because I don't, whatever. But I think if they got a salary floor and a cap, and they had to spend $170 million, nothing probably sells because there ain't no way in hell he's spending $170 million.
No,
they're going to have more of a chance to win. And I know, Gorm, I'm talking out my ass, and it's not going to happen. But I would like to see it happen.
Frank, family show.
Well, that's not too far over the line. Scott Gobb's the only guy who dropped an F-bomb on the show.
Really, that's the only F-bomb you've had in 59 episodes.
That's the only one. So, but my thing is I would like to see next season go like the 2004-05 hockey season.
Then what do we talk about in our podcast next summer?
Yeah.
We'll talk about hockey. We'll talk about hockey.
You will be talking about the Riverhounds.
That's right. What's the footy? We'll get the grub bag on here and talk about the Riverhounds, man.
Silicon Valley Little
What
League.
did you just call him?
There you go. Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean that's what I think. I mean, I don't know what I think I wouldn't be surprised they make the playoffs. Like you said, they're only 3 games back. They're going to make trades. They got to do something for that bullpen. But outside of that, I say lockout 2027.
Jerry, why do you think they have to make the playoffs this year?
Because Notting spent a lot of money, and he spent a lot of money because he wanted them.
Yeah, but why does it have to be a 1-year thing?
It doesn't have to be a 1-year thing, but it has to be.
It does to you. It does in your eyes. They got to win right now. They spent all this money. They got to win right now.
Exactly. They've been losers for too long. It was 2015 the last time they made the playoffs. That's 11 years ago. I think it's time for them at least to get into the playoff, an expanded playoff scenario, by the way, with 3 wild card teams in each league.
Yeah.
So I think that it's, you don't have to win that many games to make the playoffs. You have to be a little bit better than 500. But right now they have to play better than what they're playing right now. And their defense isn't strong enough and the bullpen isn't strong enough. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe there'll be a World Series team in 2026. Then I'll come on this podcast and say I was wrong. Rob Gregory was right. But
Hey, Kevin.
I don't think you would ever do that. Not in a shirt like that. That's for sure.
I would admit my mistakes. I always have.
How's the attendance, Kevin? What I mean, I was down to a couple of games during the Dodgers series, and the stadium was packed. But Ohtani pitching will do that too. I mean, I hear people talking about the team all the time. I mean, are people showing up? You can't really tell on TV all the time. But
I think they had 23,000 there today. I mean, the attendance is good when there's fireworks and bobbleheads and giveaways. So I mean, that's been the way the Pirates have kind of manufactured that type of crowds is by having fireworks and bobbleheads. I'm surprised more people don't show up to watch Paul Skeens pitch. I thought he would be a bigger draw. I thought when the Pirates still being in contention would be a bigger draw come June, and it really hasn't worked out that way. If they can make a run, I think they can get this town excited. That's the big thing is they have not had a winning streak or a losing streak longer than 5 games this season. So there's been more consistency than we're used to. But we also haven't seen like this team really catch fire. We haven't really seen them, do anything that kind of, blows everyone away other than promoting Connor Griffin for the home opener. That was the one move that they made that really got people excited. But the home opener usually sells out regardless. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be. Here's my hot take, and it's not really much of a hot take, given that it's dominated our conversation. Is that I feel like the Pirates are the most compelling sports team in Pittsburgh right now. And that's acknowledging that this is a football town and that the Steelers will always dominate and drive conversation when it comes to sports. That's acknowledging that the most successful of all the pro sports team in town over the last, 15, 16 years or maybe longer have been the Penguins. But I feel like the Pirates, when it comes to star power with Skeens and Griffin, with Reynolds and Lau, that the Pirates are the ones that have the compelling storylines. They're the ones that have the star players who are performing at a high level. And they're the ones that I think more than anything, Pittsburgh wants to see the Pirates win. And so like that to me is what makes them interesting, is that there's this really deep-seated desire for the Pirates fans to, kind of believe in this team again. I think the Pirates have, to some degree, built that level of doubt that they have from their fan base, that they have to take ownership of that. But I think the fans desperately want to come back to the ballpark and cheer on a winner, and they need the Pirates to be a winner to do that.
Right, and
but the fans aren't all in yet.
No, not at all.
And then when Skeens takes a no-no into the 7th and there's only 13,000 people there, school night or not, the fans are still curious to me.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
They're not all in yet.
It's very much a show me, prove it to me.
Exactly.
That they've set themselves up at the halfway point here to get the people interested. They've done what they've had to do. Yeah, they could be better. They could be a little worse too. Look at how many times they've been 10 games under 500 at this point. The fact that they're one over, and bodes well for them going into the second half and setting themselves up. I mean, in all the years I covered the Pirates, I don't even, maybe one or two of those years were they anywhere near 500 at the midpoint of the season or the All-Star break. And they've gone through such long losing stretches. I think they've at least set themselves up to where now maybe fans can get interest. But now the fans have to start showing up and showing them that they're buying into this.
Oh, we lost.
We lost Joe.
On Joe's point, the Pirates are 41-40 at the midway point of the season.
Yeah.
It's the first time since 2015 that they've had a winning record after 81 games. So that just kind of really illustrates his point, is that they haven't been good at this time of the year for so long.
Yeah.
That I think the fans are taking a passing interest. And I think if they can get Griffin back here soon, they can get Cruz back around the All-Star break, probably after. And, they have one of the, most interesting prospects in baseball in Seth Hernandez, a 19-year-old right-hander who was their first-round pick last year. And they have a top 5 pick, their number 5 pick overall in the draft. And as far as the trade situation goes, not only did they enter the season, and I know those prospect rankings have changed kind of dramatically because of how many players have been called up and they're no longer prospect status. But the Pirates, they had the number 1 farm system in baseball going into the season. A lot of that had to do with Connor Griffin being the number 1 overall prospect. But they also have the number 34 pick in this year's draft, which is a competitive balance round pick. So they can kind of dangle that as trade bait and maybe throw in a prospect or throw in a veteran, a backup, and really go out there and address whether it's a right-handed bat or whether it's a right-handed reliever or a closer, which is what I'd be targeting. There's some maneuverability that the Pirates have this year that could put them in position if they can have another good month before the trade deadline.
Well,
Don't you overpay
hold on,
now, though,
guys. I just want to say Chris Adamski is in the house here, so I just wanted to let everybody know that our 5-time returning champion, who gets the Aaron Rodgers championship belt, that would be Chris Adamski. Chris, thanks for coming on, man.
Wasn't I the first 3-time guest? Is that true?
First 3-time, first 4-time, first 5-time.
Nice.
That's like
Chris.
Wasn't it Tom Hanks that did? Hi, Bob. Like Tom Hanks had the 5-Timers Club, the SNL skit.
You need a blazer.
Yeah.
I need to. Where's my blazer?
We'll get you a blazer in a couple months.
Okay.
We Rob's video.
But
And we'll check our budget and get Blazers for everybody next year.
yeah.
Damski, I thought you would have stopped after 4.
I learned my lesson once that way. Yes. Well, I thought I was that after 2, but all of a sudden, who knows what happened?
Well, now that we have the Tribs Steelers beat writer on, Frank, you think we should start talking about the Steelers? Since my training camp's a month away.
Yeah, it's right around the corner here. So, good, Jerry. You got any questions? How do you want to start off with the Steelers here?
Well, Chris, I'm curious as to your opinion. And you're around the team, and you've been around the team for many years. But did they do the right thing by bringing in Aaron Rodgers, or should they have gone out and find another veteran quarterback somehow?
I mean, if you agree with Art Rooney II's assertion that they want to be competitive every year, if you're pointing to 2026, right now, you can make the case. If you want to make the case, it's a separate. I don't say it's a separate case, but it kind of is. If you want to say they should kind of tank's a strong word, but just sort of rebuild and take their lumps a year and get a higher draft pick, whatever. That's a whole other discussion. But if you want to do that, I guess I don't say counter to your leading question, I think is almost you're saying that they shouldn't have gone with Rodgers. And I say, I don't know what was the alternative even last year, right? Now,
that's my point. There was no alternative, right? They unless they wanted to tank. Right.
In retrospect, the guy won the Super Bowl. They could have been a really aggressive last year and gotten Sam Darnold, right? That was sort of the top alternative or the chalk. I don't know how you put it. The most, if you wanted to win, it'd be the most aggressive.
The most aggressive move they could make.
Well,
exactly. So
there's nobody this year that liked Sam Darnold. They were sort of backed into a corner. They had to sign Rodgers.
Didn't they do that to themselves though?
Well, yeah.
By waiting on Rodgers.
Well, I think what you're missing with Darnold is that the Seattle Seahawks have a heck of a lot better team than the Steelers do. Sam Darnold isn't Ben Roethlisberger. Sam Darnold with the Steelers isn't Sam Darnold with the Seahawks. The receiving isn't as good. The defense isn't as good to keep it down so they can win those games. And yes, Darnold's a good quarterback, but he would not have had that kind of impact with the Steelers, I don't think.
That's probably fair.
My second hot take.
Like as good as he was, and he was good. Don't get me wrong. Yes, you're right that he wasn't the main reason the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. He was good enough with a team that had a dominant front seven on defense, and he did foster the receiving leader, the offensive player of the year. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba couldn't have won that with a bad quarterback or even an average quarterback, probably. So, but that all being said, I can't be hypocritical and say March of 2025, I was like, they should go out and give him Sam Darnold whatever he wants. I didn't think that was a wise move. And maybe I still don't. I don't know. So if your goal is to try to compete every year, I don't know what better alternative they have had than Aaron Rodgers these past 2 years. Now,
they got Rodgers. They got Rodgers now, Chris. Does it make them any better team than they were last year, where they were 10-7? Won the division, but got clobbered in the playoffs. So any different team now that Rodgers is back a year older?
Here's the thing. I feel like they are a better team on paper. They're certainly a better offense, I think. I think that they're better play call, they're better scheme, a legitimate and a very good number 2 wide receiver. I think that they're better positioned. However, I do think last year they kind of benefited from the Bengals and the Ravens having injuries to their MVP level quarterbacks and not being that good. So I think they might be a better team this year, but not win the division and not have as good of a record, maybe finish 9-8 or 8-9 or whatever it is and not have a good record. So I don't know if that sort of split the difference there, but if you're asking me if they're going to be better this year than last year, I in my opinion, as we sit here now, their roster is a little bit better, but I probably would predict them to win fewer games than they won last year. Does that make sense to you? Or is that a fair?
I agree with that, actually. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. If the Ravens and Bengals return to form, sure, they're gonna have trouble. They're gonna have trouble in that division.
I'll be back. Are these your friends?
Yes, they are. Say hi to my friends. Yes, people are my friends.
Hi guys.
Chris has a lot of friends.
Yes. And even them, really, they're just kind of pretending to be for all right, what'd you ask, Jerry? I'm sorry.
No, I just said that I agree with you. There might be 9-8 but maybe a better team because the division's going to be much better, I believe.
I just feel like even looking back, and I know it's one part hindsight and you kind of forget in the moment, or maybe it's just I'm so immersed in the moment. Like I look back to last year and they were playing games down the stretch with Marquez Valdes-Scantling as their number 2 receiver, with Adam Thielen as a major component. Even going back to the opener, Calvin Austin was playing almost, it was 80% of the snaps, and the number 3 receiver in terms of snaps played in that opener against the Jets was Ben Skoranek. Like, I just feel like they are better positioned at the skill positions this year. They have a better play caller and offensive scheme this year. I think the offensive line, just because it was okay enough last year, I think just being a year older, the 3 core members think that. I think that Derek Harmon hopefully, but you don't know if he's going to get hurt, but presumably, I guess that's the word I'm using, won't get hurt and will be better. So I think overall they have a better roster, but I do think the Ravens and the Bengals, it was like a rare year. The Steelers won the division because both the Ravens and Bengals underachieved and had injuries and things like that. And I don't know if you can depend on that. I don't think you can depend on Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson both either being hurt or not playing well and think you can win the division this year for the Steelers.
Chris, are you sold on the defense? Like, I agree with you on the offense. I think the offense will be better, but like, I don't know. I'm worried about the defense. I think it's older. Like, I'm not convinced that Cam Hayward hasn't, that he's not going to fall off a cliff. TJ Watt, I don't know. I mean, does he? It's looking more and more that they should have maybe traded him, right, and gotten something for him. He hasn't been effective. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it as a glass half empty, but I have my doubts about the defense.
I guess the biggest point for optimism is, because I feel like, yes, I'm kind of with you where, like, whether I fooled myself, we've all fooled each other. Like, because you look at, I feel like the defense has been less than the sum of its parts over the past 2 or 3 years. And now you have a new coordinator, new scheme, an entirely new coaching staff. So maybe you kind of give Patrick Graham the benefit of the doubt and thinks he can kind of make this fit together better, or make the production better, or make the product better in the end. I think that's if you wanted to take the positive point of view. Although, yes, I kind of see what you're saying, where I could sit here and say, okay, they have talent. They have a future Hall of Famer at every level again with Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Jalen Ramsey now. I feel like Joey Porter Jr. is emerging as a top 10, top 12 cornerback in the league. I think it's okay. I think their defensive line's a lot deeper than it has been in the past. I think you have the 3 edge rushers that you feel good about there. There's depth at corner right now into the depth, like guys like Asante Samuel Jr. It probably won't even play this year necessarily. It doesn't really have a role all of a sudden. And Brandon Echols might not have a role all of a sudden. Jamel Dean was the top corner. So you could sit here and say it's on paper, it's a good defense, but I feel like for the last 5 or 6 years, we sat down and said, on paper, there's a really good defense, and it never is a good defense.
So I would say, though, that the one thing for optimism is Mike Tomlin doesn't have his fingerprints on this defense. Going back last 10, 12 years, no matter who they had there, he had his fingerprints on it. And even if Terrell Austin was the coordinator, I think they made a clean break from that. I think that's the reason for optimism is you got somebody fresh calling the plays, and maybe they can do some different things with this defense and maybe start living up to its potential finally.
And maybe if they move TJ Watt around, he can snap out of whatever coma he was in last season.
I mean, it was pretty self-aware and fascinating that he offered himself without much, prodding or anything. He said, I haven't moved around much, and that's probably my own stubbornness. He said something to that effect and said, in this defense, you don't have much of a choice. So I guess I'm kind of giving Patrick Graham the benefit of the doubt here, a new set of eyes, because like I said, I do think if you look at the roster, look at the defensive roster, the players and the starters, I do think it should be, listen, it's not going to be that, what do they call it, all-time defense last year. What was Mike Tomlin saying and whoever said that stuff that happened. Juan Thornhill, the unforgettable Juan Thornhill, I think is the one that started the whole thing, which is funny enough as it is that it was him that got cut after week 7 or whatever it was. But I do think if you look at it on paper, you feel like it should be a good defense. So, well, I guess we'll find out, right? Was it Mike Tomlin, Terrell Austin holding him back the past few years? I think I'm willing to see the new fresh set of eyes and a new perspective even, or a new, the new scheme might be able to finally make this a above average NFL defense. I don't think it'll be elite, but I think it could be above average.
Well, now that Tomlin's on Sunday Night Football, let's say the Steelers start out 7-0. What's he going to say about the Steelers finally winning? Looking like a real team. A year after he's gone, it'd be interesting to see how he responds to the Steelers season when he's on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, definitely look forward to that for sure. I didn't think I'll be honest. I didn't see it coming. My view was always like, because think about how many times during the playoffs they always have an active coach or an active player sometimes join the studio. You don't think that one of the networks wouldn't have wanted Mike Tomlin all these years after they lost in the first round, showing up for the second round or the conference championship or the Super Bowl, and he never did. So I figured that was his way of, or he never wanted to do it, is what I assumed, right? Because you had to be offered at some point over these past 19 years. One of the networks had to offer him the chance to do a playoff or whatever it is, some sort of the Super Bowl, and he never did any of it. I assumed he didn't want to do it, and in fact, he did it. Although I guess if you get making 8 figures, a lot of things I don't want to do. If you pay me $10 million, I'll do them. I promise you that.
Well, Bob Cohn, the Steelers haven't won a playoff game since you left Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I was kind of afraid that would happen.
Finally, we now know why.
Selfish as always, just thinking of myself. Yeah.
And Bob, you repaired your relationship with Sean Sweezum, and then it just went downhill from there.
I forgot about
what
You got to tell that story, Bob.
Story time.
I don't remember it now.
Oh, come on,
Story
Bob.
time, Bob. Let's go.
I blocked it out. Frank probably knows it better than I do.
I don't. You have to tell it, Bob. Let's hear it.
What the hell was that? Well, I think it was when he was
kicker, right?
Yeah, but that was in Washington that I pissed him off, I think, or something. God, that was a long time ago. And I pissed so many people off anyway. I can't remember everybody.
What's the one incident in your career? And you had a long career in journalism, sports journalism, Bob. The one incident in your career that you remember the most where you pissed somebody off, and it's something you can look back on and say, wow.
Oh yeah.
Are we talking athletes or coworkers?
Just
joking, Bob. Just joking.
I think you know all about that last part.
How long of a show do you want this to be?
You're right.
Good shot, Rob, baby. Good shot.
Talk amongst yourselves a little bit because I got to think about it. Jerry, you didn't prep me for this. Come on.
I mean, Joe and TJ Watt are still. You guys
Actually,
TJ Watt and I are buddies, but we had a run in when his brother's entering his last year with the Steelers. So that'd have been like 2022 maybe. But yeah, and I had a run in with Rick White of the Pirates back in my last year covering the team 2004 or 5. But those were, we were in the Yankee Stadium hallway outside the visitors' locker room, yelling back and forth at each other. But that's about the extent of my altercations.
What were you yelling about?
He got upset because I left the locker room because I had early deadline and I didn't talk to the starting pitcher who had a good game. And we exchanged a few words then, but I had to leave. And then after I got done filing my story, I was so upset that he called me out in front of everybody. I went back down and waited for him and a couple other players, and they were the last 2 or 3 guys to leave. And I stood there and waited. I wasn't going to leave until he came out, and he tried to play the waiting game, and then they finally left. And as he walked towards the I don't know where he walked to. I walked to the elevators, and we went back and forth yelling at each other the whole way to the elevators, and then I went up the elevator, and they kept walking. So
see, you don't
mess with a guy who's been covering a losing team for 100 years. That's for sure.
I never heard of him. Who is he, Joe?
He was a relief pitcher. He pitched for the Pirates in the early to mid 90s, had a lot of promise, left, bounced around with a bunch of teams, came back as a free agent, and that might have been his last year in ball. He might have had another year. He's from Ohio, journeyman reliever, bounced all over the place, but probably made a nice living, doing what he did.
That's an amazing story. I've never seen you lose your temper in all the years we worked together. I never saw you get mad at anybody.
You never worked at night, Joe. Jerry, you never worked at night with us. Whenever it was when certain stuff happened. But I got a story. I talked about this beforehand. Just a newspaper story with Gorm here, man. It's funny that I don't even know why I remember this stuff. This was like 25 years ago. Everyone remembers Brandon Fuss Cheatham. And no, probably nobody remembers him. No, you'd have to be somebody like me. No one remembers him. But anyway, he was the big star point guard at Blackhawk, was getting ready to pick his college, and Gorm turned Mike White into just, and I will say that, Kevin Gorman turned Mike White into just another sports writer in this town. And it was time for him to, make his decision. I'm working late at night. I'm the guy in quote unquote charge, it's my way or the highway. And Gorm leaves and he says, if Bus Cheatham's dad's supposed to call me, if he calls, make sure you let me know. So get done with this. I'm like, I think I'm just going to break Gorm's balls. And I send him an email and I said, hey, Brandon Fuss Cheatham's dad called. He said, since you weren't here, he's going to call Mike White and tell him where Brandon's going to college. And then I signed it, Frank Fuss Verdecchia. So I go home, that back then papers they didn't update till after midnight. I go home, check the PG site, and I see first story, Fuss Cheatham picks Ohio State. So I come into work the next day, and him and the vest and the other person, they're like, they're like this, like, oh, I can't believe, what did Frank do? Oh my God!
You turncoat Frank.
It said Fuss Verdecchia. So I'm like, it's a joke. But what kind of odds are those, Gorm?
Yeah, that's one I still haven't gotten over. It's like that and the remote control incident.
That was
just a poorly timed joke, because I think what I did was I couldn't get a hold of his dad that night, and I left him a voicemail. I think I left a voicemail for John Miller, who was the Blackhawk coach, and for Jeff Cheatham, who was Braden's dad, and I said, hey, if there's any chance he calls back to my office line, give him my cell phone number. And then Frank plays a prank on me, and then he ends up committing that night, and I get beat on the story. And I was furious, but I also knew that Mike White was really close to them, especially John Miller. So I knew I was at a disadvantage on that one. But yeah, that was a tough one to swallow there. But why did you? There's a message saying, hey, he called and you weren't here, so we, sorry you missed him. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Why did you toss the remote at him?
That was a dumb one, because someone called me and told me that one of the TV stations was leading their sportscast with the Pitt had started 1-5 that year, and Tyler Pelko was committed. That was the Walt Harris almost getting fired after a 1-5 start, and then rebounding to go to. Did they go to a bowl game that year?
They did. They won the Tangerine Bowl that year.
The Tangerine Bowl. Okay, I wasn't sure it was Insider Tangerine, but we had a satellite dish, and so I couldn't get the station. And I've got someone calling me, telling me, hey, you need to tune into this, and Frank telling me you can't get it on this channel, and Frank threw the remote at me, and I threw it back, and then he threw it back at me, and I bent down to pick it up, and I flung it at him, and it curved, and it hit the wall above one of our sports writers, and it shattered into like several pieces. It was just one of those that just like popped, and so the rubber part goes flying, the top part goes flying, the bottom goes flying, and all the batteries go flying right above this kid's desk. And we got into some choice.
And then he puts it back together like it was going to work again. And a power that be there told me it's a good thing he put it back together. Those things are like $500.
Yeah, exactly. TV remote. It's funny. The guy whose desk it was that I'll tell a quick story here that I love to tell. It was Matt Townsend who was working for the North Hills News Record, and then came down and worked in our zone editions covering high school sports. And he was just, a young guy just out of college, I think. But he is legendary in Pittsburgh sports, Trib sports, high school sports staff. They used to have on the opening day of hunting season or fishing season, trout season, they would send the high school writers out to do the story instead of the outdoors writer, because the outdoors writer would go out with the game commission and spend the day with them and working on a bigger picture story rather than the opening day story. And we used to say, like, imagine if they said on the first night of high school football, someone's going to go follow a coach around, but they're not going to cover a game. This makes no sense. And we always used to get upset about having to go cover the opening day of buck season, the opening day of trout season. And I remember going and standing in the rain at North Park, at the little lake at North Park, and watching two guys in a fishing boat. And they had a trophy, whoever caught the first fish. And that was the story that I wrote. But I remember standing out in the rain getting drenched to write this little story about these two guys. But they sent Matt Townsend to the opening day of buck season. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm not a hunter. And they said, just go to the chop shop where the deer processing plant is. Everybody will be waiting in line with their catch or their kill. And you can just talk to people while they're waiting in line. And I'm making these names up, but Matt wrote a story that essentially said, Joe Smith stood in line with the severed head of an 8-point buck in his arms as his dog Lucky licked the blood as it dripped from the neck. It was the most graphic story. It was the most graphic story ever. And it was just gruesome. Like when you're reading it, it's like the dog's licking the blood dripping from the
that's absolutely worthy.
And they said after that, they were like, we can't run this. You can't send these high school guys out there. They don't know what they're doing. And we're all like, if we would have thought of that years ago, we would have never had to cover any of these things. We've all praised Matt Townsend for years. It's like, hey man, you got us out of that stuff. So, all of us young high school writers we wanted to carry him around, on our shoulders after that one, because never again did we have to go cover the opening day of trout or buck season.
Hey, Rob Gregory, do you want to tell the Showtime story from Bradenton?
The Showtime story. So we called Joe Rutter Showtime because of the style of basketball that he played.
Yeah.
Okay, we would go to the Greenfield Rec Center and play basketball until I broke my wrist, and then apparently that ended. But anyway, Joe likes to play a very flamboyant style. Okay, he thinks he's Magic Johnson out there. So everything is behind the back, everything is through the legs. He's Showtime. Okay, so that's how he got the nickname Showtime, playing basketball. So I'm doing the Trib PM one morning. Okay, and this is during what, spring training, right?
Yeah, spring training, because I was always
spring training. So I
talk
talk to Joe every morning from Bradenton. Okay. One morning he calls up and he goes to me, when you pick up the phone, you never address me as Showtime. It's always, this is a Trib, Rob speaking, or whatever it is. I said, well, okay. He goes, I'm the only guy that calls. I'm the only guy that calls in the morning. So I said, okay, tomorrow morning when you call in, I will pick up the phone and I will go Showtime. So the next morning, I'm sitting there, and about the time that Joe usually calls, the phone rings. And I pick up the phone and I'm ready, right? I'm ready to go. I'm in full perfect voice. And I go into the phone, I go, Showtime. And there's no response for like 5 seconds. And then this female voice goes, hello? And I say something to the effect of, you're not Joe Rutter, are you? And to her credit, she did not say, who's Joe Rutter? Of course not. Of course not. She wanted to put in a notice, right, for our Agate page, okay? So I get done with her. I hang up the phone, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, figures out what happened. 30 seconds later, the phone rings. I pick it up, Tribune Review Sports. This is Rob. Joe goes, I can't believe you forgot. And I had to explain to him, of course, that I had actually done the Showtime, just not to him.
Yeah. That reminds me of one of Joe's finest moments. Is for those who don't understand how the old school newspaper newsrooms work, most of the sporting events are played at night. So most of our hours are evening hours for those of us who were in the office. And so typically your editor, you might have an editor or two in the office at 10 a.m., but most of the reporters didn't come in until early afternoon. Most of the editors that were designing and copying the pages didn't come in until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we had a guy who was calling repeatedly trying to get the scores from the overnight games, because in the paper it would just list them in the box score or the line score as N, that the game was played at night and we didn't have it. It didn't finish in time for us to get it in the paper. And Joe would make a CD every year for Christmas of all the best voicemails that we got. But the one, it was the cover of the Christmas CD that you made for us. But it was Do you people work? Does anybody work in this office? I call repeatedly. Nobody ever answers the phone. Does anybody work there? That was I still think of that one every time we talk about rudders. Do you
I
people work?
still have both volumes of those CDs. They are some of the most entertaining things. I mean, once in a while, I'm having a bad day. I'll throw in "Do you even work?" and for like the next 14 minutes and 28 seconds, I get to hear angry phone messages that Joe saved and put down for posterity.
Well, you know what?
That
The
was
funny
fun.
thing, a guy we used to work with, most of us here, Bob Cunningham. You guys remember Bobby C?
Of
A
course.
lot of you guys do. Well, years ago, I think this might have been 2001 or 2002 or something. We were down. He was a huge Pirate fan, Bob. So I think Daryl Ward was playing for the Astros at the time, and Bob went to the game, and I guess he was sitting, I don't know, the right field might have been. I don't know where Ward played. He either played right or left field. So the whole game they were just talking trash, calling Ward all kinds of names, telling him this, that.
They're heckling the guy.
They're heckling him. So we're down in the Clark bar the next day after work, and he's telling the story, and Bob's face is all red, and he's all excited telling it. And there's a divider, and this guy turns his head and goes, "Why you guys do that to me all the time?" And Bob just about died. It was Daryl Ward sitting there, and Ward, he was cool as hell, but Bob for about
He
10
was.
seconds, Bob looked like like a ghost. He looked like a ghost for a second. But the odds of that are just nuts. Bob, do you remember that? You're Sean Sweeson stuff. I mean, come on.
No, but I got two for you.
All right.
Okay, I'll try and make them quick. I've been quiet so far. So
Gonna have to be quick. We have all night.
So what happened was I was at the Arizona Republic, Kevin, you know that well. And
I was an intern at the Arizona Republic when Bob worked there. That's how we met.
And it was summertime. You know what that's like, I think. Were you there for that summer in Phoenix?
Oh yeah, 110
Remember?
degrees. Yeah.
100 degrees is like 120.
110 every day.
Oh, it was awful. So at Arizona State, I was covering Arizona State basketball, and then they had a summer camp for high school seniors, and it was kind of like a showcase for recruiting, right? And so it's at the Arizona State Activity Center. This is all going on. I'm there watching it. And at the time, you guys remember a guy named Doug Collins, who was a great NBA player and then a coach?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, he was an assistant coach at ASU then under a guy named Bob Weinhauer, who was what's the word, horse's ass. But anyway, so it's mostly empty. There aren't a lot of fans there, but so I'm there watching. Collins comes up to me and says, "Hey, Bob, Chris Sandel over there, right? You know who he is?" "Oh, yeah, he's really good." I said, "Bob, really appreciate it if you gave him a pretty good write-up in the paper. I think you could, that would really help us recruit him." I said, "Doug, it's not my job to help you recruit." "What the fuck? Fuck you, Bob, then." "All right, God damn it." And he actually put his
that's
hand
all right,
on
Bob.
my arm. I said, "Don't you fucking touch me." And so fortunately nothing happened. And, later on we talked about it, but that was kind of jarring, right? The other thing also was relating to ASU basketball. They played in the.
We should have got Doug Tamro on here. Bob,
well, he was there for this one. So again, Sun Devils are playing Cal at the Activity Center. It's a Pac-10 game, or maybe it was a Pac-12 game. Cal had a coach named Lou Campanelli. Anyone remember that name?
Sure, yeah.
Lou Campanelli was a good coach and kind of a hothead. And, he's kind of a dick with the media and all this. And after the game, they lost, and he was given some really terse answers, and this, why are you asking me this shit and all that. So I go into there's a room downstairs from the Activity Center. It was like a classroom. And that's where I was going to file my story. And I sit down to write. And I turned to one of the guys from California. I said, you know what? Your coach is a horse's ass. And he's going, Lou Caponelli was right there when I said that.
So how did he take that, Bob?
Not well.
I didn't.
And again, more fuck yous and all this. I'm sorry and all that. But
Frank,
Bob,
you're gonna get the
you
whoopee
did-
cushion
I
emoji
know.
out to bleep out all
I'm
these.
telling you, Bob.
expletives.
I'll tell you, Scott Gobb would be proud of you. Next time Gobb's on here, he's going to be wondering why I can't talk like Bob Cohn. He's going to.
Does the
Have you guys ever
FCC listen to our podcast? That's my question.
What's that?
Does the FCC listen to this, watch these
I don't-
podcasts?
I highly doubt it. When I put it
Jerry,
on,
the
Well, that's
internet
right, at
doesn't have
first
any
we
rules.
thought.
No rules on the internet.
That's true.
It's fine.
Rob Amon, you got anything good?
Have you guys read the book
Time here.
Pond Scum and Vultures? This is exactly what this book is. It's I can't remember who wrote it, but it's basically a collection of sports journalists.
Yeah.
You know, like horror moments, run-ins with athletes and coaches, and look it up. A buddy of mine from college gave me
I remember that title.
What's that?
I can't think of the book either. I remember the title.
Pond Scum and Vultures.
Yeah.
Like America's Sports Writers, something or other, like Dish on the Industry or something.
Ah.
I never had any serious run-ins in sports journalism. I had some run-ins with news sources over the years.
Gene Wojciechowski. That's who wrote it.
That's who wrote it. There you go. Yeah. It's a good read. I mean, it gets a little repetitive because it's over and over and over again, but it's a good read. It's a light and breezy read. So.
Hey, how about run-ins with sports editors? Oh wait, you guys saw all that.
That's a podcast on its own.
Boy, I think we've all had those. Even
I was
Chris,
gonna say,
you weren't.
I think we should do the shots now.
Well, Chris hasn't. He didn't have as many years as like all the way back to like the late '90s, early 2000s. So you know when it was really like the Wild West in that newsroom. Then, Jesus, it was. Every night was Rob Gregory one time said, "I'm leaving. And I don't know if I'm coming back." And it wasn't even. We still had another run. He goes, so, walk in. We're like, all
I was
right.
talking to
Rob,
Bill Hartlip today about Friday nights in there. But Friday night football nights were just hellish. I mean, and what that copy desk was able to do and plow through those pages and the amount of stories that were written by the reporters.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It birthed the tailgate when I was there. You know, we started having those Friday night tailgates after that Friday night slog, so so we could go out and blow off some steam, basically.
Still, one of my favorite lines was when Kevin Gorman said, guys are outside talking, blah, blah, blah. And what did he say? I don't know. I left at 2. It was 2 in the morning. Guys are out there till 3:30 in the morning, bitching.
All we need to know about Friday night's high school football is it turned Jerry DiPaola into a miserable person. So that is the impossible, pretty much. So,
That's right. That's right.
I need to know.
But I would have got to the tailgate, and I'll never forget this. Rob Gregory handed me a can of a pop can. It wasn't an alcohol, but it really, after a rough night, it was cold and it tasted really good. I always appreciated that.
Jerry always brought the cheese brats. That was his signature offering to the tailgates. The tailgates were phenomenal, though. Just absolutely phenomenal.
Well,
We brought wings too. My daughter came down and brought wings one night.
Yeah.
My daughter, my wife. Yeah.
I tried
at the end, it was like a real Steelers tailgate. I mean, there's like 25, 30, 40 people.
They're tossing footballs around. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Good time. Well, I try to explain to people what it's like working in the sports department of a newspaper, and they think that I'm crazy when I tell them about it. And you have to have a self-deprecating sense of humor. You have to have a sense of humor, first of all, because if no one's making fun of you, that means they don't like you. So you got to be able to do that. And plus, if I'm going to break Gorm's balls, then he's going to be able to have to do it to me, or it's not cool at all. Or Rob Amon's or Rob Gregory's, and it's just
that's right.
It's some situation never working again the rest of my life.
Well, Frank and I had worked.
Like it's like this though. Things that I said in jest when I was getting my balls broken, things that I said in jest became like things that were then connected to me for the rest of my career.
The
They
blue-
asked
the
me.
blue-
They asked me one time. I went on, one of the high school football shows, on Sportsnet, and they said, "How come you always wear blue when you're on TV? You're either wearing a blue shirt or a blue tie." And I said, "Well, of course, because it brings out my eyes." And they still say to me all the time, "Blue shirt, blue shirt." And it's like, and I just happen to be wearing.
Well,
a
you
blue
keep
shirt
wearing
today.
blue shirts, Gorman. What do you want?
And trust me, my closet is full of blue shirts. I acknowledge that, but I don't always wear blue shirts. But there is not a time where I post a photo of myself with a blue shirt or something, a blue tie, where Frank doesn't come on and write blue shirt. And the other one is, which I think this is hilarious, but.
I thought the
wife
origins
would
of
send
the
all
blue
of his
shirt were
extra.
from, like,
He'd send all of his
WCAE.
extra
What's
Halloween candy. Should send all the extra Halloween candy in a plastic pumpkin and send it in every day to get rid of it, so they didn't have to eat all the extra Halloween candy. And every day I'd walk past Frank's desk and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I can't pass up the Reese's Cups, or I can't pass up the Nestle Crunch, or whatever he had in there." And finally I got to the point where I was like, "I'm not eating any of this stuff. I'm only going to get fatter and fatter." And I said, "But there's my only weakness, those Take Fives." I said, "That's my only weakness. I can't resist them." And then it became, Gorman only has one weakness. It's his only weakness in life in general. I was talking about all the candy that I was walking past. My only weakness that I couldn't resist out of the candy jar was the Take Five candy bar, because it had peanut butter and chocolate and pretzels and caramel or whatever else it has in it. And but so that's why, if you ever read when I write my Kevin Gorman's Take Fives, that's what it's named after. It was kind of me poking fun at the joke that whole thing became. So it's kind of like, here's my 5 takes, and it's all because that's my only weakness.
What were you going to say, Rob Amon?
Yeah, I mean, well, I started in sports and then I moved into the news department and, became an assistant news editor. And when the opportunity opened to move back and work in sports, it was at night, and it worked out perfectly personally, right? With my kids were being born, whatever. So it's like, okay, let's do this. And I remember my first night working there, and I was like, what the hell? What did I get myself into? Who are these people? I knew all you guys, but it was kind of like, oh my God, this is a totally different world, a totally different animal than what I was used to. And but man, I guess it was like 7 years maybe back there, 6, 7 years. That was some of the best time of my life. I mean, it was amazing. The work that was done back there and the friendships, and that's just it's a special department. It's a special time. It's a special group of people. So
and the thing about it too is we used to bust on each other, but then once games were over, we flipped the switch and were the most professional people you could be to get that out. We were able to do both of those things, and we always made deadline. We always had great looking sections, but we had a lot of fun doing it too.
Yeah. Good
times. Definitely good times.
I always liked, Joe, when your computer would start beeping. That meant you had to put those lost numbers in. When Lost was at its peak, you'd see Joe over there going like this, like, "Oh no, his computer's gonna blow up."
Joe's a great journalist, but Joe brought a lot to the table too, outside of just journalism, right? Oh, so you have your quizzes, you had the hot dog roller. You mean, don't underestimate
the weenie wheel.
The weenie wheel, like that was amazing.
Snack drawer.
Snack
drawer. Legendary snack drawer.
Would the snack drawer have its own Facebook page or Twitter page or what?
Sure.
It had both. I think the Twitter page still exists.
It does.
I think it does too. We've just forgotten the password though, haven't we? Isn't that what it is? So it just kind of floats along.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weird thing about, and I'm now this year is my 30th year in the business, which is kind of hard to believe, but
it's a lot of blue shirts.
The weird thing is, though, is we talk about all the joking around that we did and everything, and one of you guys kind of captured this, is when deadline came and when it was time to knock out stories or knock out pages, like, for one, like how serious it could get how quiet it could get and how everybody got very focused. Like there's a part of me that misses that the buzz of the newsroom and also the quiet time in the newsroom when everybody was working and you could feel the energy in there, even though nobody was saying anything. You knew that everybody was like knocking out the newspaper for the next day. And just there's a little bit of a level disconnect where, I always tell everybody I have maybe the best office view of anybody in Pittsburgh, that I'm sitting in the press box at PNC Park every night and have this absolutely gorgeous view of the Pittsburgh skyline and the ballpark. But I do miss the newsroom energy. I do miss the vibes in the newsroom. I do miss the excitement of a story breaking and everybody getting on the phones and chasing the story, or being on deadline and everybody being under deadline pressure and working at the same time and working together. And I remember, I can remember all kinds of stories, but I remember Frank Verdecchia on the high school football Friday nights, coming up with headlines and hammerheads for the front page of the tab. And Rob Gregory designed, my favorite column I ever wrote was about my first game of catch with my son. And I had a photo that my mom took of us from inside the house on a BlackBerry. And you made that page look amazing. And there's stuff like that to me. That's just, those are moments I treasure. And that's the part of the business that, even though essentially we're still doing the same thing, we're not doing it the same way.
No, it'd never be the same. And, you guys, Joe, Chris, Bob, Kevin, Jerry, everybody, you guys would have your stories done too immediately as soon as the game's over and get them in. And they were clean. And, we did our share of complaining like any
I was just going to say, that
always,
didn't mean we didn't take your name in vain a couple times.
That didn't mean we didn't say something every now and then, but still, I mean, you always knew the story was getting in. You weren't like, where's this story? Where's that story? Sometimes that was the case, and but there were always guys you knew, you could get it, take it, put it right on the page, and hope that they didn't put any like Bob Cohn words in it or anything like that, but get it out for the first run.
That's a real talent. I mean, that is something that, I never took for granted in any position that I've been in. Like that is something that is just invaluable. And, Rob Beertemple was always great at that too. Like he would hit it, we'd be in the office, the Pirates game would be on the television and his story would pop into email. And then 10 seconds later, you'd see the final out on the television. Joe, Chris, I mean, you guys, on Steelers games over the last, I don't know how many years, I always get a phone call from the desk like, hey, deadline's 11:30, it's 11:25 and there's, a minute and a half left. Like, I'm like, yeah, we're obviously going to hold. Like, Joe will have the story in as soon as the game's over. And damn, if you'll always hit it. You never miss that. And the copy desk guys to get the story, put on the page, get the headline, like to turn the page that quickly. You guys are all real professionals. I mean, just total professionals. Kevin, you do it every night. You do it, and it's just like it's a talent, and that's nothing that anybody should take for granted. So
we were all very fortunate to do what we had to do, but also to do it with the people we did it with. Because I know a lot of times the desk would make me look good if my lead was crap. They'd fix it every once in a while. And I've always appreciated working with the desk and working with everybody else. I mean, Bonson idea, Kevin and Joanne and John Grupp and I used to work together at night on high schools. And, Bonson, we had meetings every Friday night, talk about the next week. And, Bonson's ideas off people was invaluable. And it made our section better, I thought.
Jerry, you were always one of the best to work with. Yeah.
I use John Grupp's line all the time with our current sports editor, Bill Hartlip, when he says, how's your story coming? I said, oh, it's all done. I just have to write it.
Yeah.
That's one of Grupp's classics. Meaning that I reported it, I researched it. All I have to do is sit down and write it.
Well, I'll tell you another name.
Did it all the time. It's, oh, it's all done. I just have to write it.
Well, I'll tell you another name to throw out there, Ron Rubinkowski. I don't know many people funnier than Ron.
Oh, God,
Ronnie. He could do everybody's voice, but it all sounded the same.
He's hilarious.
he would mimic everybody. I mean, it would be so funny. I remember I introduced him to Bethany, and I go, "This is my friend Ron. He's good at making fun of people." That's the way. And he just gave that look, the Ron look.
He had the most clever nicknames for people. He was. very underrated sense of humor.
Yes, yes, very.
No, I appreciated it. Believe me. Yeah. Hilarious.
I didn't like working at nights, but I liked the people I worked at nights with, and that's what made it good for me. You know, people like Frank and Garrett and Rob and Eric. It was good. It was good times. Not that I want to go back.
Good people.
Yeah, what I'm not doing now.
Yeah,
but,
not that we want to go back, but yes. Can you?
I wanted
believe
to my hot take here, but I guess we're running up against it
Okay.
because it's a
Hey,
good. My
yeah,
hot
I
take
just-
is that Jerry, you will write one more story for the Trib at some point. I don't think you're totally done. I think you got one more in you. I just don't know when it'll be, but I think you're itching to get behind the keyboard and file another story.
Yeah, I kind of missed a little bits of it. I kind of missed the big events. I kind of miss, I said this on the podcast a while ago. I thought Aaron Rodgers was an interesting guy to interview. He seemed to be a very thoughtful guy. I don't know what kind of a personality he is, but there's things that Roy missed doing. But it's kind of nice though when I watch the games at night. I don't have to worry about finding quotes. You just turn the TV off and go to bed.
I'll tell you what, I'll end things with this, that coming in September, it'll be 10 years since some of us left the Trib and we haven't worked together. And for 10 years later to be sitting here like this and be able to just talk trash and laugh and talk about
listen.
Yeah, it's nice.
says a
With
lot
that
about,
in mind,
yeah.
I want to say this because I think I'm the oldest one here. Somebody has to be the oldest, and I said this before. I got into the business at the right time, and I got out at the right time.
Yeah.
Very fortunate.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So
I agree.
I went wire to wire.
Wire to wire.
Hey, can I say one more thing, Pirates related?
As long as it's clean, Bob.
So I watch a lot of baseball at home. I don't watch much TV, and sports is baseball. The only thing I watch. I have the MLB package and get any game you want. It's terrific, and I watch Pirates a lot. And they're a fun team to watch. Now I already told this to Jerry, so don't say anything. I have a new favorite player in Major League Baseball. Can you guess who it might be? Those of you who know me well enough should know this.
I couldn't even think of it.
Maybe some don't, but
It's got to be the most ornery, ill-tempered.
no. Okay.
Who has the worst attitude? Gorman, help us out. Who's got the worst attitude on the Pirates right now?
Thank you.
The worst attitude?
Good,
I mean,
Bob. Who was your favorite player?
Okay. I'm not only the oldest, but I'm the only. Shall we say?
I was going to say Spencer Horwitz is my guess. All right.
Spencer Horwitz.
There you go.
See, I don't think people understand because, believe me, Jews talk about, this sort of thing, when you see a guy like that and it's like, oh, is he Jewish? Is he Jewish? And why do we do that? Because there are so few, right? There are so few Jews in professional sports. So when one comes along, then we start rooting for him and following him and all of that. And so he's my current favorite player. I don't think they're going to be.
Well, Jerry, you're going to be trending, whether you liked it or not.
Why is that? Well, I have questions. Speaking of Spencer Horwitz, I have a question for Kevin. He seems I was gone from reporting before Horwitz joined the team, but he seems like a really nice guy because every time he gets on first base or a runner gets on first base, he's always talking to them and smiling at them and making some kind of wisecrack to. Is he really a good guy, Kevin?
Yeah, I think that's pretty common with first
Not all
base.
Jews are cranky assholes. Hey, listen, I forgot the punchline to the Spencer Horwitz story. I told Jerry this, so don't give it away. If anyone has a chance, I know Rudder does to talk to Greg Brown, and his signature home run call is what? Cannonball coming, right?
Yep.
Just acknowledge that I'm right.
Yes.
Well, you're right, Bob.
Yes.
Well, when Horwitz hits a home run, Matzo ball coming. I don't think that would fly, but it would be great.
He does seem like a good guy, right, Kevin?
He is a good guy, and he's a friendly guy. I think it's pretty common for, and I think Rudder could speak to this when he comes back on. Joe, I think it's pretty common, Joe, for first baseman to chat up the base runners, and I think some of it is just kind of a friendly greeting at the, hey, you're welcome to the bases, welcome to the party type of thing. But I also think that there's a bit of a sense of trying to be distracting to the runner as well, and so I think there's some gamesmanship involved in that. Chatting up the first baseman, chatting up the base runner is to, kind of distract him and hope that he's off his game a little bit. What do you say about that, Joe?
I was gone for a few minutes. My phone overheated.
No, but we're saying about first baseman. Spencer Horwitz tends to chat up the base runners. We were saying with the first baseman, that's not uncommon for the first baseman to chat up the base runners.
Yeah.
And I said some of it, I
the
think, is a
time.
distraction.
Yeah, I think all the time. I think Sean Casey was very legendary for that. Talk to everybody. I mean, I think some guys do it to rib other players. I think some are just friendly, but some I think do it to distract them too.
Yeah. No question.
So
when are we doing shots?
All right, I'm ready.
Jerry's got him.
Crown Royal. I'm going to have one.
I actually already did one.
All right, go ahead, guys. Doing it.
Here's to Frank.
Do you have a special shot glass? Mine is Clubber Lang.
What it says here.
Hey, Rob, given that you're drinking from Clubber Lang's shot glass, what would your prediction be?
Pain.
My prediction? Pain.
Here's to Frank asking me to be on this podcast a year and a half ago. And here's to all 7 of you guys for putting up with me for 30-some years and for coming on tonight. We are at a good time.
Here's the Frank inviting me for this podcast and needing about 3 hours to censor out Bob before he gets us on YouTube.
Here's to you, Bob Cohn.
Let me finish up with one thing, Jerry. Godfather trivia. Godfather trivia.
Good.
How many musicians did Frank Pendangeli say were at the first communion ceremony when he tried?
Is this the Godfather part of the show?
One question.
Nice. I didn't think we were going to have this today.
Well, I just thought of it.
Repeat the question.
Okay, beginning of Godfather 2, Frankie Five Angels. They're playing some goofy music there, and he's trying to get what's called a Tarantella going.
Goofy music. It's Italian music.
No, they weren't playing the good stuff, and that's why he went up there and he's trying to get them going. He's like da 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 blah 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 blah.
And they played Pop Goes the Weasel, yeah.
He said, how many musicians were there? Because he said blank music. He said this many musicians and not one Italian amongst you.
I'm 20.
Close. 30.
30.
So, but
all right. That's the Godfather.
Jerry, do you ever get any of these right?
No. No, yeah,
Okay.
we haven't done them that much, actually.
I mean, I know I'm not on every show, and I haven't seen every show, but it just seems like, you have this Godfather contest every time, and you just, I think you're like 0 for 4.
We haven't done it every week. We got to get back to doing it every week.
Jerry,
I think you should.
My offer to you is this.
Nothing.
Yes, there we go.
That's it. Yeah, you deal with Turnbull next time.
So,
all right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. It was fun.
Thank you for
Thanks for having us, guys.
Fun, guys.
It was fun.
We'll do it again, and I will have some shots next time, and I'll make sure the paramedics are standing by.
I'd appreciate that.
All right.
Brent would appreciate that too.
See you soon, Bob.